morning. In today's kitchen science experiment, I'm going to show you how to turn a raw egg like this into a bouncy raw egg like this one. There we go. And as you can see, my bouncy raw egg can also roll around as well as bounce up and down. It's fab. Oh, nearly cracked the real egg. There we go. So I'm just going to put my egg over to one side and tell you what you will need to make your very own bouncy egg. You literally only need 2 ingredients. You will need some vinegar. Now I'm using brown malt vinegar because that's what I've got in my cupboard. You will of course need an egg. So here's my egg. And then you'll need a glass. And all you've got to do is very gently put your egg into your glass. I'm going to use my trusty egg box to put it on so you can see what's going on. And then you need to cover the egg with vinegar until it is completely submerged. Now, this isn't one of those experiments where you're going to get instantaneous results. It's one of those kinds of experiments that you have to observe over a period of time to see what is happening. The best results are after about 48 hours, I found, but it should work after a minimum of 24 hours and you could leave it up to 72. But take it from me, I've done this experiment a lot of times, 48 hours works just right. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is put my egg in the vinegar on my window shelf and leave it there for 24 hours and we'll have a look at what's happening then. But before I do that, I'm going to cover it with cling film. Now the reason I'm doing this is because the vinegar has a really strong odour and my daughter is always moaning because of that smell. So I find I can keep her nice and happy if I put cling film on the top of my cup so that there's no odour. You could also put it inside a sealed jar with a lid and that would stop the odour as well. Right then, I'll go and put it on my shelf and I'll see you in 24 hours time. Hello again. It's now been 24 hours since we put our egg inside the glass and covered it with vinegar. Let's take a look to see what's happening. Let's start by looking at the top of our glass first. Now you should be able to see that there's a brown film that's floated to the top of the vinegar, and the actual egg itself, if we go a little bit closer, is covered with little bubbles. And there are also little bubbles floating to the top of the vinegar. Take a look at the side as well. There you go. So basically, a chemical reaction is happening inside the glass. The eggshell is made of a substance called calcium carbonate. When the eggshell comes into contact with the acidic vinegar, it begins to dissolve and then carbon dioxide is formed. And it's that carbon dioxide you can see clinging onto the egg and floating to the top of the glass. I'm now going to leave my egg inside the vinegar for another 24 hours, which will make 48 hours in total, and then we'll come back and see if we have a bouncy egg. Hi, it's now been 48 hours since we put our egg inside vinegar, and I'm waiting to see if we now have a bouncy egg. So it's the moment of truth time. I'm going to take my egg over to the sink so that we can give it a little gentle wash and see what we've got. Come on, let's go. Right, I'm over by my sink now, so I'm just taking the cling film off my egg, and I'm going to use this colander here to help me. I'm going to very gently pour my egg into the colander, and you can see it is just there right on the bottom. Okay, so now what I need to do is very gently give my egg a wash under running water. I'm going to put it here. Okay, so here we go. Here's my egg. And as you can see, some of the darker brown substance is now rubbing off my egg really easily. And I can feel that my egg is squidgy and really soft, and I think it feels quite rubbery, so fingers crossed it might actually work. Now I would imagine there's still some calcium carbonate there and it hasn't all dissolved away, but as long as your egg feels squidgy and rubbery, that is just fine. Okay, I'm going to take it back over to the work surface, give it a dry, and we'll see if it works. Right, so my egg that I've just washed is inside this paper towel, and I'm just dabbing it gently to dry it. Now, I'll put the paper towel away, and you can look very carefully. This egg does feel rubbery. It is squidgy when I press it in. It looks a little bit swollen, but we need to see if it bounces. So I'm going to start by testing it out on the plate. Then if there is anything that goes wrong or if it does break, it's easy to clear up the mess. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! Look, it's bouncing. Excellent, just what I wanted. I'll take the plate away and bounce it on my surface now. There you go. It rolls and it moves forward, it moves back. But the best thing is it bounces a bit like a rubber ball. Now obviously it's only bouncing a little bit. I'm going to go a little bit higher, just about there, but I wouldn't try bouncing it from too high, because if it does fall and it does break, it's going to make a complete mess. But yes, that has worked. Now you might be wondering why our egg seems like it's swollen and why it's squidgy. Well, there is a scientific reason for that. Basically, just under the eggshell, there is a membrane, and we call that a semi-permeable membrane. And basically, the membrane allows some liquids and some gases to pass through it, but not all of them. So it's let the vinegar pass through the membrane into the egg, which is why our egg is swollen and squidgy to touch. And there you go. Now, if you do decide to try this experiment at home, please ask for permission from an adult. 1, because if something does go wrong, it might make a bit of a mess. But 2, you just need to make sure you've got enough eggs to spare. Now, just before we go, I want to prove something to you. I'm going to put my egg on the plate, and I am going to prove to you that this bouncy egg is actually raw. All right, I am going to use a serrated knife to cut into my egg. Are you ready? And there you go. 1 raw bouncy egg.